the year of 2022 was tragic for both Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine suffering from Russian invasion now, and Russia has been laying own foundation by its own hands for country's demise that will last for decades. Many countries have been involved very actively into the conflict, into the war. The entire world has united behind Ukraine, supporting it by different means. Russia has also had support of multiple countries. Well, 3 countries. 3 is multiple, right? Belarus, Venezuela, and North Korea. That was at first. Then later, Venezuela and North Korea turned their backs onto Russia. Venezuela made a deal with the Americans, and it looks like Maduro is getting pardoned by the USA, and he'll be a good guy from now on. And all his past sins will be forgiven. Well, America does that sometimes. And North Korea has decided that associating with Russia would hurt its democratic image and started cutting ties. Well, actually, I'm forgetting. There was another country that Russia attempted to get support from, the 4th country. The Taliban visited Moscow in August of 2022 to negotiate, but later they changed their mind and announced Russia a terrorist state or a state supporting terrorism. The Taliban. That leaves Russia with Belarus, or 2 countries, Russia and Belarus. But there was another country that has remained mostly silent during this 12 years, a mighty powerful country, a huge economy, a key geopolitical player, China. For 12 months, China remained silent until now. 2 days ago, it announced a peace plan for Ukraine. Let's talk about it, whether it's serious and game-changing, and if it's really a peaceful plan that will work, offered by the world power. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where I give you news updates that I find important, and I think that they explain what's really happening in Russia now. What you will not find here is propaganda, BS, and lies. What you will find here is common sense, truth, and logic. And emotions too, because I am a human being. Inside Russia is where usual Russia explained by the unusual Russian. First 30 minutes I deliver my daily message, then I want you to participate in live stream chats that I turn on after my daily message, and I invite you to converse, comment, and ask questions. I would love that very much. Well, let's talk about this peace plan that China offered for Russia, Ukraine, whatever. On February 24th, on 1-year anniversary, the first year anniversary, hopefully the last year anniversary of this madness called Special Military Operation of Russia against Ukraine. That's how it's called in Russia. In reality, it's just a war of Russia against Ukraine. Anyway, on February 24th, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs published a plan to solve the war in Ukraine, to provide a solution to the war in Ukraine. The document is called, I quote, China's position on a political solution to the Ukrainian crisis. It consists of 12 points. Among them, there's a ceasefire, peace talks, guarantees of sovereignty and independence for all countries, as well as the rejection of expansion by military blocs, and on unilateral sanctions. Well, let me present you the plan itself so you know exactly what it consists of. I will also give you my short explanations. So the 12 points. Respect the sovereignty of all countries. This is point number one, and most likely it's the most important. And I will tell you why later in the stream. The independence and territorial integrity of all countries should be effectively guaranteed, and international law should be applied without double standards. Sounds good. Moving on. Abandon the Cold War mentality. It's fantastic. China calls for taking seriously the legitimate security interests of individual countries and not trying to ensure security of regions by strengthening or expanding different military blocs. They mean NATO, of course. Ceasefire. Moving on to the next one. Next point. Ceasefire. China notes that there are no winners in wars, which makes sense, and urges countries not to add fuel to the fire. Well, thank you, China. Moving on. Start peace talks. It's genius. Dialogue and negotiations are the only real ways out of the Ukrainian crisis, the plan says. Moving on. Resolve the humanitarian crisis. And this is a fantastic plan. Protect civilians and prisoners of war. China calls on the parties to the conflict to strictly observe international humanitarian law. China calling that. Moving on. Maintain safety of nuclear power plants. Beautiful. China calls onto the parties to the conflict to resist armed attacks on peaceful nuclear facilities, as well as to comply with the conventions of international nuclear safety. Hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Moving on. Reduce strategic risks. You know what? We all need to reduce global strategic risks. That's great. Beijing stresses that nuclear weapons cannot be used, as well as biological and chemical weapons. And who can argue with that? Moving on. Guarantee of the export of grain. Feed the hungry, plain and simple. China believes that all parties should comply with the agreement on the transportation of grain throughout the Black Sea. Ain't China great for offering that? 3 more points. Moving on. Stop unilateral sanctions. Now, pay attention, because this is big. You'll understand why a little later. Stop unilateral sanctions. China believes that unilateral sanctions will not only not solve the problem, but will also create new problems. China being smart. Moving on. Ensure the stability of production and supply chains. Again, you can't argue with that. Beijing calls on all countries to protect the global economy and resist attempts to politicize it and use it as a tool of a global weapon. I am hands down totally agreeing with China. And the last one, promote post-war reconstruction of Ukraine. The international community should take measures to support post-war reconstruction in conflict zones, the document says. Just a little tiny article, you know. Who could argue with that? So that's basically it. The 12 points, 12 articles, and not even short explanations, but short summaries, what they say. When I read that, I had one question. What is this, a joke? What kind of plan is that? Is there anything that plans usually have in them in this document? I make plans. I have been making plans for work for a long time, for over 20 years. And let me tell you, this is a lousy plan. Well, for one simple reason, because this isn't a plan. The Chinese themselves have never called it plan. I repeat, officially, and you can look it up on their website, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China printed this document. It's called China's Position on a Political Solution to the Ukrainian Crisis. So this is a position. The document is a set of principles. And you know what? We in Russia have been calling it the Chinese peace plan. And in the West, same thing. For one simple reason, because the media, our media and the Western media have called it that way. The Chinese peace plan, and it's not. Anyway, this is a set of principles, right? And I looked at it, and there's, at least to me, my opinion, from what I am going to say from now on is strictly my humble opinion. There's nothing new there, and the principles are presented in a very Chinese way. We simply don't know who they are aimed at. Russia? Ukraine? It's unclear. It's so general, you know. If I were to summarize this document in one sentence, I would say the Chinese are proposing to be for all of us, to be for all the good against all the bad. No more, no less. China has remained silent when many terrible things were happening in Ukraine. And all of a sudden, it opened its mouth now. Why now? Why on February 24th? Well, in order to understand that, in order to understand why China is jumping into the fight, so to speak, right now, you've got to keep in mind that China is actually very good at diplomacy and geopolitics. It also, keep in mind, it could care less about Ukraine. Could care less, you know, it just doesn't care one bit. It also does not care about Russia, but not as much as it doesn't care about Ukraine. Russia is, well, somewhat a partner of China. The only country that China cares about is China. And that's it. And China, you know, does everything, every single time, every single move, only when such move benefits China. So I dare to say that the conditions for China to get involved into Russian-Ukrainian conflict, Russian-Ukrainian, they call it conflict. They didn't say war once, okay? They call it conflict. Well, I say it the same way President Putin called it war. So the conditions for China to get involved into Russian-Ukrainian war are right now beneficial to China. They're right. You know, they're just right. So what are the conditions? Few of them. Now I'll explain. China understands that its image is under fire. The Western countries started discussing and thinking and making their opinions that China supports Russia in this war and is about to start supplying Russia with lethal weapons, which is a big no-no. Even the European Union countries that are usually closer to China than anyone else, and they do lots of business with China, obviously, even the EU countries started considering China as unspoken partner of Russia, unspoken ally of Russia, and that's not good for Chinese interests, big time. So China doesn't want to get involved directly into the conflict with the West and with the United States because of Russia, because of this whole situation, or it doesn't want anyone to think that China is Russia's ally. And the conditions are right now that everyone starts suspecting that. Not good for China. Number two, China wants to support Russia in the war with Ukraine for as long as possible. China has enjoyed very good relationship with the Russian regime and personally with Vladimir Putin. If the regime is changed in Russia, then future of Russian-Chinese relationship is unclear. You see, they don't know who's going to replace Putin. They don't know what kind of policies and politics that person or the next government will be conducting. And there are many risks for China in that. They'd rather Putin to stay in power for as long as possible because he's known, his intentions are clear, they understand, they know him, they've met him, they made deals with him, and they want him to be in Russia, at the helm of Russia for as long as possible. Number three, Chinese principles are very pragmatic. They are not pro-Russian. They're pro-Chinese, pro-China. Many people making mistakes saying China calling off sanctions against Russia in this document, in one of the articles. Remember, the unilateral sanctions is not the way, they say. Well, no. It's calling off sanctions against itself by this principle, because the United States has placed quite a few sanctions onto Chinese companies. So, and China needs to shake them off. And number four, this, if we go and look at the principle number one of the document, let me repeat that. Respect the sovereignty of all countries. It's not really designed for Ukraine. And it's not designed for Russia. It's aimed at China. One China, one country principle. And they are considering Taiwan their own country. They send message. No one has right to interfere with countries, including China, internal matters. And China definitely considers Taiwan completely internal matter. If you look at this document, not the plan, but this set of principles, it's actually written so vague that you don't really understand who it aims at. Ukraine, Russia, it's very strange. But that is so normal for Chinese diplomacy. And if you go and look back at the previous documents of this sort that China released, you will see more or less the same thing. This principle for all the good against all the bad applies throughout all Chinese official documents. So there's nothing new here. Will this document, this peace plan, as they say it in Russia, will this change anything for Ukraine? Anything at all? My guess is big no. China cannot influence Russia's decisions at this point, and it doesn't want to, really. The Chinese right now have stated their official stand on this war, on this what they call conflict, right? They made it public. They have spoken. They sent a message that, hey, we're not Russia's ally. We're neutral. We want all peace. We want all good. We're against all bad. They sent this message out, and that's enough for them. That's good enough. They don't want to change anything else. And now, my friends, the main questions of the stream. And I'd like to ask you to comment whether you agree with me or not, or what's your take on that after I am finished with the message and turn on the comments. So please let me know what you think. So the question is, who benefits from this document? What do you think? In my mind, it is obvious the only beneficiary and number one beneficiary, number two and number three beneficiary of this document is none other than China. How is this possible? Well, because China in general is number one beneficiary of this war between Russia and Ukraine. That's pretty easy. And no, it's not about Russia's resources. Although Russian cheap resources, oil, natural gas, pulp, wood, metals that no one is buying now, but Chinese are very glad to buy them for cheap, of course. That's a huge bonus for China. But that's not the main reason. Russian-Ukrainian war has distracted the United States of America and the West from the real stand, real battle, the geopolitical battle of 21st century between the United States of America, backed by the Western countries, against China. It has distracted all attention and resources for the entire year, for 12 months. All those resources, all that attention, all that energy could have been spent on restraining and containing China. And instead, it has been spent onto this Russian-Ukrainian conflict that absolutely pointless, groundless, and it doesn't make any sense. China is absolutely delighted. By the way, this containing China is still number one policy and goal of, number one goal of the American foreign policy, in case you forgot. You gotta understand, and again, this is my opinion, for China, this is a part of a very long-term geopolitical game where both Russia and Ukraine play very minor roles. Actually, no. Russia plays a minor role and Ukraine doesn't play any role whatsoever. China doesn't care about Ukraine. It had interest in Ukraine in previous years for one simple reason. Ukraine had some attractive military technologies that Chinese wanted to use. Therefore, they were buying some plants, and there were scandals about that and all of that. So that's the only interest, nothing else. So it's all about China versus the USA. And looking from this point of view, China versus the USA makes this document look absolutely different, in different light. Chinese goal here is to make the war last as long as possible and keep on distracting the West and the USA from the real goal. The longer the America and the Western countries are distracted, the more time China has to beef up for the last or for the next stand. So that's what I think about the so-called peace plan. Before I turn on the comments, a little bonus material. The last point, article of this document, I'll remind you, promote post-war reconstruction. The international community should take measures to support post-war reconstruction in conflict zones. That's what the Chinese document says. Real life example. Um, it is not a secret that Ukraine, parts of Ukraine, have been raised by the Russian army, by Wagner Group, by the Chechens, by Russian forces, by the Russians. And it's a tragedy. It Everyone understands that sooner or later, when this war is over, international community will step in and will help Ukraine to rebuild. Now, rebuilding a country is a huge project, and a lot of companies need to be involved. And there's going to be a huge economic growth coming out of that. And guess what? The Chinese, they want a piece of their pie. Chinese economy, Chinese have many problems domestically. Now, I am not a huge expert on China. I just know the basics, but I understand that Chinese economy is not going through the best times, far from it, and Chinese also have a huge problem of aging population and decreasing population. So they want an economic boost, and they see restoration of Ukraine by the international community such a boost, or one of the boosts. Being here in Uzbekistan, I have met a few companies and a few people. Uzbekistan is a place of economic growth right now, attracting lots of foreign companies, including construction, engineering companies, industrial companies, investors. And I met with a representative of one of the Chinese companies, a large, huge Chinese company, probably company size bigger than Russia, and there are a few of those in China. So there's a representative in Uzbekistan, and we were talking about possible cooperation here in Uzbekistan, and he wasn't interesting, but he was making it look like he's interesting. And at the very end, he hit me with one question. He said, if you know any way how we can go and help rebuild Ukraine after the war is over, we'd be really delighted if you could introduce us to people, if you could talk about that, and let's work in that direction. And all our meeting, that was the focal point. The guy was warming me up, so to speak, for this one question. And he looked at me like it was really hard to misunderstand his real interest, right? And that's one huge construction company, Chinese. It has so many projects all over the world, but their focus is they're trying to break into rebuilding Ukraine so much. So that's another thing that China wants from this ordeal, the war between Russia and Ukraine, once the war is over. It wants to be part of the rebuilding force, hoping it will boost China economy and industry. It will boost China economically in general. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they'll let Chinese restore Ukraine. They're going to keep them away as far as possible. Thank you so much. This has been my message for today. Before turning on the comments, I would like to ask you a few favors. First is please help spread my message by making repost on your social media accounts. Second, please join my Telegram group called Inside Konstantin's Russia. The link to the group is in the description below the live stream. And if you liked and found interesting the material that I just shared with you, would you please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any further updates. And I give them every single day in daily live streams. Thank you so much again, and I am turning on the comments. Hit me with what you think. If you're not seeing the comments, please press refresh button and the comments will load up. Howdy, howdy, everyone. Howdy, howdy, mods. The best mods in the universe. You can find them on this channel. Lorna, Mommy, Harry Potter, and Bob S., Amir, and Blackhead. Thank you so much. I don't think Blackhead is going to be with us today. I'm not sure. Sunday. Let me just tweak the comments a little bit. So if you want me to notice your comment easier, please put it in caps and put it after inside, put inside Russia after add button. So I see it in a large orange box, just like Ricky K did and Ann Larson did and Bob S did. Thank you so much. And Harry Potter did. So mods, usual suspects, howdy howdy again. Great to see you. Double O, I don't remember someone ever talking about the exceptional quality of China's products or buildings. I don't know what to say. There are some products that are exceptional, and there are products not so exceptional. Depends on the price that you pay. All the products, well, most of the products that are sold in the United States, they come from China, and then you can find very quality stuff. The usual suspects: Pentium, Lena, Justeri, Sylvia, Tupalusto, Calvin, Pamela J, Doug, Bert from Maine, John, howdy howdy. Jump into the comments and into the questions. Tupalusto, howdy from Finland, sending my love to Finland from Uzbekistan. Calvin has a question. I think it's good to talk peace no matter what the motives may be, as long as Ukraine does not give up land. Well, that's the problem, Calvin. In that document, they don't talk peace. They talk about something that is aimed at China in a very vague explanation, vague words, you know. Roger Williams, howdy howdy. Brianna B, howdy. Ryan Cameron from Newfoundland. Andreas Lehmann from Germany. Zypaz from Lithuania. Carmen V, howdy all. Roy Cousins from London and Faith Russert from Spain. Julie W. Galaxy Rider. Hilarious. China always playing both sides. You know your Chinese stuff. They always do. That's right. How are our favorite peeps? Who are they, Lorna? Who the favorite peeps? Chinese guy L. Constantine just tuned in, missed your opening statements. It's a good thing you can go back and check them out. Edgecombe, Maine, Jimmy Penrose, howdy howdy. The Maine, the way life should be, and that's true. Sam K, thank you. Ann Larson, Mama Two Boys, Mark Barnett, Bramlett, Jacksonville, Florida. Ricky Cade, I think you forgot a Russian ally, Iran. No, my friend. I was thinking about that. Iran has never been Russian ally. Iran is an enemy of Russia. Iran is a Shia country. Don't make that mistake. If Iran supplies Russia with something, it doesn't mean that Iran is Russia's friend. Far from it. Calvin, good presentation. Thank you so much. Gold Maple, doing well. Thank you. Leslie Fleming, hi to all the rest of us. Howdy, howdy. Mark Griffith, you forgot Syria as a Russian friend. No, it's not. It's a vassal state because Putin came in and saved Assad's butt some 8 years ago. And I can't say it's an ally, it's a vassal, a puppet state. Belarus is more of an ally. Lukashenko has more of an independence than Assad. Russian military bases in Syria, so that's not a Russian friend. Pavlia Flex, look up tofu construction. Okay, I'll look it up. Tom W, hard to comment on something you agree with, which is most of the time. Thank you so much. Well, Tom, you know what? That's very important for me to know that some of you agree with me, which that really reinforces and motivates me to move on, to move forward. So thank you so much. That's very important. Nikki 87's words are just words, one their own. I will watch their actions. There will be no actions. Well, that's what I think. There will be no actions or very little actions. Um, that's it. LM, you right, they want plenty construction contracts to help their economy. Yep. Steph G, China's proposal reminded me of a Miss Universe speech. Yep. It's not even a proposal. Well, it's like a set of principles, you know what I mean? They call it a proposal, they're making a compliment to themselves. KG1, thank you so much for the first super chat of the day. Why wouldn't Putin end up in jail if the war stopped? Or he could get immunity as part of the deal. I don't think he will get immunity as part of the deal. And I don't think he will end up in jail. I think there's another way out for him, and we all know what kind of way out is that is. White Lightning, thank you. China wants to get Siberia back and avoid sanctions. True. It's straight out of 36 state grams of the art of war. China wants that oil. Yes. I would say China wants it all. But China getting Siberia back would be, I'd say Far East, not Siberia, but Far East. Siberia would be next. But I think that would be step number 2. Step number 1 is to watch what happens in between Russia and Ukraine and wait until the conflict is over. And Russia is going to be extremely weak, and it will depend on what kind of leadership it has. And China will try to place its own political figures or buy the political figures, to influence Russia a great deal. And obviously, it wants Russian land. Well, Zaviduk, thank you so much. Sounds like you are Ukrainian. I really appreciate. Thank you. Every time I see Ukrainian here, that's a pleasure. Double O, mostly dollar store. I think get into the U.S. except tech stuff that the sector, I feel. Well, if you go to a dollar store and pay $1 for something, that definitely is going to come from China, and it's not going to be of high quality. Okay, it's not going to last. What do you expect paying $1 for a thing? Go and pay $10 for the same thing, and you will get different quality because there are different factories in China. Some produce very cheap stuff that goes to dollar stores, and some produce actually very good stuff. Do you know that everything is manufactured in China that you buy at the stores? You buy Nike shoes and they last you, I don't know, a couple years. They're made in China. Same for everything else, Carson Larrymore, thank you. I agree with your evaluation. Chinese Hang on. Chinese looking to see how they can benefit. Ironic, this plan points out what Russia is doing, not what Ukraine is doing. Yes, exactly. In Russia, they are all over the plan. Oh, China has come up with a fantastic solution. Oh, China is supporting Russia. And I look at their comments and I go, well, where does China say that it supports Russia? It's so vague that, it's unbelievable. It doesn't, you can't even make a thought that it supports Russia in some way. You know what I mean? We have a new sponsor, Graham Wilson. Thank you so much for joining Inside Russia. Deep inside Russia. Whoa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mon Capitan, thank you so much. Thank you for your insights. As always, really helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amanda, China has been occupying Tibet and committing suicide. Now they want Taiwan. But they talk peace with Russia and Ukraine. I can't make that sense. The thing is, they don't talk peace with Russia and Ukraine. They don't. I was trying to make my points is they don't talk peace to Russia and Ukraine. This document is aimed at China. Okay, not if it's to be implemented, it benefits China. China, one country. And they're selling everyone this document as the peace plan for Ukraine. Well, the Chinese position at least, not peace plan. Little Dickens too, thank you so much for joining sponsorship program. I appreciate it. Multi-Dake, our whole group laughed because building of our airport in Berlin took many years. The Chinese were building it? I don't understand. Why would Chinese build the airport if in Germany? I think that's a pretty good project for the Germans. Lost in the sauce. Why would Ukraine want China to rebuild when they never helped? Well, that's how China operates. Okay, it'll come in at the very last minute and say, "Well, you know what? We helped greatly by providing this plan," and this is exactly how. This is their mentality. This is their psychology, diplomacy, and that's as their play. Okay. Alexander Shevtsov tries to discredit you on YouTube. Well, what can I say? I don't really care. Cindy Sadler, I'm from Finland. Howdy, howdy. Dominic Baumberger, I agree 100% with you and hope they never set foot in Ukraine. Seems to me that the world forgot about China goal to Chinese goal. Okay. Well, tell me, friends, how people can discredit me on YouTube if when we converse here in the live stream chats, a lot of people write me that they agree with me. We have similar points of views. How can you discredit or degrade that? Okay, I don't understand. Jacob from Czech Republic, sending love from Uzbekistan. Thank you. Mary Muller from Helsinki. Janice Burgess, Danielski from Belgium. Frank in Texas. The man is back. Howdy, howdy. Kareno, sorry, need to go. Agree with you, Konstantin. Thank you so much, Kareno. Great to have you. River Swami, thank you to my mystery Santa for the month membership, Christmas in February. Must be Julie W. or Jason Carney or one of the usual regular serial super chatters. Brian Crook, 76 England. Hi Constantine, where did they get their points? Fortune cookies? I guess so. I think they took old documents and they looked over them and they just put bits and pieces and boom, they created a new one. I think that's how it worked. Devlaw, really interesting to hear about your insights. So China does hope Russia will lose eventually, just as late as possible to first exhaust Western resources because of Taiwan. Not necessarily. I think China might want Russia to weaken so much that Russia will, when made a choice, Russia won't be able to refuse it, if you know what I mean. That's one of the possibilities, okay? But China is definitely aiming at part of Russia. Mary, inside Russia, I have several friends who are officers in the USA military, Marines, Army, and Air Force. Don't worry. They're watching China very closely. That's good to know. Thank you. Mislius, when the war is over, do you think there should be voting in Donbas region for joining Russia and Ukraine? Well, no, I don't think there should be voting in Donbas region. Who Donbas belongs to? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Airborne snail, I'm a usual suspect too. Now I'm hurt. Why you hurt? You're a usual suspect. I see your name. I know you're from Sweden. I I read your name at the beginning of every stream. Good evening from Germany, Bogdan. Guten Abend. Mr. Kaliskin from Chicago. Cheryl Watley. China is attempting to graft the full extent of the Tibetan Empire in the 8th century onto their history. Ladakh, Nepal, Sikkim, Bhutan, Pradesh. I don't know what to say. It just goes past me. I'm not familiar with the topics. Okay, Constantine, totally agree that the Chinese statement is not worth the paper it's written on. OKAG, thank you so much. Mama to boys speak two languages, classy in full mouth. Prison nurse, took years to practice. That's funny. Little Dickens too. Most Chinese building projects starts crumbling 5 years after completion. Well, let me tell you, they built very, very well in Dubai and nothing crumbles. It depends on how much is paid for the construction and how much is stolen. I guess things are different in China than outside China. Michael Mayo, thank you so much for this huge support. If you depend on YouTube revenue, I suggest you limit sharing intel opinion analysis on China to more private forums. I know that you've survived a lot, but you obviously don't understand how United Front works yet. You totally lost me here, friend. Michael, I'm not sure I understand what United Front is. Why do I limit sharing Intel opinions analysis? Well, I don't share any Intel. I don't know any Intel. Opinions and analysis on China. Okay, well, you know what? I'll check out what's United Front is. Thank you so much. It sounds very sinister what you just wrote. Not sinister towards me, but like it's pretty strong suggestion. You know what I mean? I understand the seriousness. Walter Castillo, long time lurker here. I still can't find the teapot you used to prior to your move. I enjoy your financial breakdowns. Please keep up the good work. A teapot I used prior to my move. This is that I've been using in Uzbekistan. I'm not sure. I forgot the one I used. Oh, it was with a nice like nozzle. Yeah, I remember. That was a nice one. But it's in the past life, you know, in the life I had before. This is different life now. Cheryl Watley. I wasn't sure if I could trust you because of the way Kremlin uses religion. I've come to the conclusion you have a sincere and important voice. Okay, that's interesting. I wasn't sure if I could trust you because of the way the Kremlin uses religion. I am not using religion. I I speak truth of Russia, and I don't think Kremlin would like that very much. But anyway, Cheryl, thank you so much for coming to this conclusion. I will not disappoint. Jekyll N, as usual, no message. Thank you for your huge support, friend. This is the stream of revelations. First it was United Front, and then from Cheryl. From Australia, Great Southern Land, thank you so much. Whatever China does today can change tomorrow, depending on its own interest at the time. The scariest thing about China is their unpredictability. In Russia, we say, he is the master of his word. He gives his word and he takes his word back. Dave Strains is here. Howdy, howdy, Marilyn. Tom W. was a good day for me so far. Slept a lot. Cheryl, so Chinese construction companies want to continue the Ponzi scheme in Ukraine? Honestly, Cheryl, I have not heard of Chinese construction companies doing Ponzi schemes. Around these parts of the world, they build. They come in with their own money and they build everything at zero expense to the customer. And then you end up owning them lots of money. And if you fail to pay, they take stuff. That's how they work. That's much worse than Ponzi schemes. That's like making governments drug addicts, you know, where they use money for drugs. Mark, products engineered in US and made in China and sold globally. Agreed, not only in China, not only in the US, in Europe as well. Don, Kiev government should place a lien on Kremlin National Wealth Fund to help pay for costs to rebuild critical infrastructure. International courts should start war crimes prosecution in absentia. We kind of talked about it in different streams. Lucas S. Thank you. Hey Constantine, you uploaded live stream with a photo of destroyed Warsaw. what Russians think about Poland, and what's your opinion on the role of Poland? Uh, I thought it looked like just like a regular generic city out of sci-fi movie or game. Sorry about that. Um, I kind of meant it like Moscow, Warsaw. Holy cow! I guess I gotta change the picture. What Russians think about Poland? If you take usual Russians, they think very nicely of Polish. Um, if you take Russian government that has been talking shit about Poland as a country, that Poland is serving its master, the United States, and Poland is wants to take part of Ukraine and blah blah blah. Not nice. So how do people react? Some believe it, some don't. But in general, Poland, the Poles are. I have my own opinion, and you probably know that opinion. I've worked with many Polish guys and girls. I have a couple friends, a very good friend of mine from Warsaw. Um, my friend from Murmansk, Russian, married to a Polish lady. They've been married for, I don't know, 15 years. They have a wonderful kid. They live in New Hampshire. Um, just nice people, beautiful women, good vodka. Polish drink a lot. I used to drink with them quite a bit. Zubrovka with that grass inside, that stuff knocks you right out. What else do I think? I don't know, just great people in general. Every time I see a Polish person comes and comments, that really warms my heart. Brianna B, howdy howdy, thank you. Manufacturing can be changed. America should partner with Mexico more and help Mexico more. Also, Central Americas too. Brianna, hard to disagree with you. The United States has already been manufacturing a lot in provinces next to the borders with the USA. It's called maquiladoras. I studied in American University that system of manufacturing. Graham Wilson, thank you again. Again, thanks for joining Deep Inside Russia. Thinking of the use of nukes is utterly terrifying, but I'm confident this move would be suicide for Putin. Would China turn on Putin if he's used them? Well, he's not going to use them. That's going to be the end for Putin. China, it's one thing that can stand in the way of China's plan for itself is nukes. It doesn't want, it would hate Russia use nukes because things would become too unpredictable. Okay? Everything, I think lots of things are going according to Chinese plan right now, but nukes are involved, the whole plan is ruined. Russia is no more, who the hell knows what happens next? Um, the real Jackson, didn't Mongolia also lose land to Russia? Uh, Not sure. It goes to history for such a long time, I can't really tell you. But you know how Chinese are calling Mongolia inside China? Outer Mongolia. They consider that as a part of China already. Mongolia is a scared, scared, scared. I've been to Mongolia, I talked to people in the government. Mislius, China has 10 good years and economical growth, then it'll stop due to demographical problems. But the thing is, I don't think it's enjoying 10 good years now. I think the economy is not doing that great at all. We're all financing China, Mary. Unfortunately, in a global economy, it's difficult not to finance China. if you buy in Russian copper, Russian wolfram, Russian titanium, you also supporting, your finance in Russia. There are things you just can't give up on, unfortunately. ELM, absolutely, Constantine. Most Chinese stuff is crap. Hmm. Well, I have different experience. If you pay little, yes, you're right. If you pay more, then it's warranted. It's good quality. Doritos, thank you so much for uploading these videos and live streams. Thank you so much. Florentina, Saudi Arabia announced today 400 million to Ukraine. What do you think about it? Is this a message for Russia and China? Thanks. Well, it's good. That's what I think about it. Is this a message? Well, I don't think Saudi Arabia would do anything that would not benefit Saudi Arabia, just like China. So, some kind of a message, yes. But what kind of message, I don't know. I gotta look into this. Wales, UK, howdy, howdy. Sharon, do you think Russia will have to be very careful how much assistance they get from China, as there will be payback in the future? What assistance? Tell me about the assistance Russia has been getting from China. China buying Russian oil at cost that is at the price that is less than the cost to extract oil. So Russia is financing for every barrel sold to China. Russia is selling natural gas through Sila Sibiri for less that it takes to extract gas and pump it through. Is you call this is financial support or assistance? What else does Russia get from China? Well, perhaps you know, because I don't. Viol 999, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. Bipolar man, Chinese government needs to have more credits on first, intellectual property theft, second, more regards on human rights issues, third, respect other countries' sovereignty, and four, never ever invade Taiwan. Hard to disagree with you on that. Hey, Bert Cargan, howdy, howdy again, and thank you so much for this huge support. I appreciate it. Sending all my love to you in Maine and to Maine. Please say hello to this wonderful state from me, my home in the USA. Alistair Legan, will China take back Vladivostok? It actually might. It actually might. It has a shot at it. Like I said, Vladivostok used to be a part of Manchuria, and Manchuria belonged to China until 1859. There were two agreements signed, the first and the second, 6 years apart, and Manchuria became Russian. Before that, for thousands of years, it belonged to China. Arjan, do you think that Mr. Z came with a huge shopping list to Moscow earlier this week? Long-term contracts at low prices? No, I don't think so. If he wants to get something, he will get it, and he did not come to Moscow. He sent his diplomat to, kind of face slap Putin, because you just don't speak to a diplomat if you are a president of the country. That's Lavrov's work, Lavrov's job. But you can't do that. You show that you're weak. You show that the country that sends your diplomat to speak with you is stronger than you. So anyway, it was a wrong move. Mike, I wish you could become president of Russia. Yahoo! I never will. I'm not cut to be the president of anything. I'm not cut to be politician. I can't lie. Guy L, I don't even buy China from China. Funny. My question to you, the China you buy, where it's made at? There are so many Chinese made products on eBay that literally garbage, and you cannot argue with that, but there are some tons of good stuff that comes from China. I mean, again, you got to understand that China has complete range of production factories, and it has super cheap stuff, which is crap, and then it has super expensive, high quality stuff. Okay, and then you make your choice. Vote with American dollars. Depending on how much you pay, you get the quality, or you don't get the quality. Mia, China's economy, especially construction, is in a big problem. Might bring their economy to collapse or damage it pretty bad. And all contracts to rebuild Ukraine have been awarded to EU. Um, Hard to disagree with you. Yes, and it's kind of what I said. They're not gonna let China to rebuild Ukraine, and not all contracts have been concluded because it's not the active stage at this point. You know, it's gonna be the active after the end of the war or towards the end of the war. Luke King, howdy howdy, welcome back. Do Russians now see China as a more senior country than Russia? Can the Russian war machine increase production without Chinese assistance? Two questions as usual in your messages. Do Russians now see China as a more senior country than Russia? Well, they do. They certainly do respect China more because it's a superpower, you know, largest economy, and how can you not to see it as a more senior country? Can the Russian war machine increase production without Chinese assistance? Not a chance. Not a chance. Putin, in his speech, in front of me, in front of all of us, in front of you, he admitted that Russian military industrial complex is working 24/7 at the highest capacity possible. 3 shifts, and they're not producing much at all. So if China helps with equipment, with semiconductor, but China has a problem with semiconductor because high-end stuff is produced in Taiwan and low-end is produced in China, but I think Russia needs high-end. So even China cannot help Russia in certain things. Mr. Joe, great convo. I don't see Finland and Baltics wanting China as a neighbor if Russia weak. If I was them, I wouldn't either. Ukraine described as one of the largest markets for Bacon Energy Engineering. Xinjiang Bacon Energy Engineering. I've never heard of that company before. Oh, they have so many large companies there, like companies size of countries, literally. Oh, there you go. Chinese companies invested in the dredging port of Mariupol. Perhaps it's completely different industry. That's why I've never heard of it. Chinese wind power companies invested in Mariupol. Okay. I don't think there's major investments. I mean, it's just like a few power plants. Not a huge blow economically to China. You know, losing those power plants. But how many megawatts? Um, you know, up to like 50, 100 megawatts. For China, it's not even a speck of dust. Ferrari guy, it's important to start getting the global south to see through China's disingenuous plans, economic offers, and influence. Yes, it would be smart for them to start getting the global south to see to start seeing through China's actions. Royal gamer in real world politics, no long term friends or allies, just long term interests. Agreed? Velvet, all crap the manufacturer and build break. So why would this peace plan be different? X Flying Tiger, John and Nikki from Lake Shasta. Howdy, howdy. Curious about something. Japan is rearming. Have you given any thought to that? No, I have not. I don't think Japan is like a major player uh, in the world's politics. It's been turned off by the USA due to its role in World War II. But John, I will be watching because that's interesting. They are rearming. Okay, we'll wait and see. Oля, A plus Russian, howdy howdy. Mama, two boys. I have one word for Lorna. Don't mess with the mods. That would be very unwise move to mess with the mods here. Stealth tactic. Dave Strains, thank you so much. Rene Barnlett, we need a good Elon Musk to beam in the truth to the Russian people somehow. We have similar problems here of echo chamber news. Else place, China was silent during the first part of the war, but as the West announced tanks for Ukraine, they all of a sudden speak out of the peace. What is your thought on this timing? I don't think that um, I don't think that matters too much to the Chinese. I think the timing could be because of the UFOs shot down, recently, a week ago, a couple of weeks ago. The Chinese weather balloons. This is kind of a symbolical answer to the West in terms of the peace plan. Oh, you see what you did? This is what we do. But I think that's it. They've made the point and they're not going to go any further than that. Hang on. So I'm back. And you need few more people to subscribe, then you'll have 200,000 subscribers. And hard to argue with that. I do. Just a couple more thousand and a few more thousand, and that's it. Hopefully in March. Let's throw a little party. 200K party. Questions coming from Lake Shasta, one after another. Thank you for your support, John and Nikki. The USA has been lighted Japan rearming as a Western ally. All islands down to just north of Taiwan are building Japanese military bases. Ah, that's what you mean. Okay. In connection with Taiwan. That makes sense. Thank you. I will definitely look into that. And there's another statement from you. Oh, that's same. It's a double statement. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Yeah, you got me curious now. Brianna, if China does convince Ukraine to trade land for peace, we can all be sure that we'll gladly release claims on Taiwan to promote peace, correct? China will not convince Ukraine to trade land for peace. I don't think that anything can be done for that to achieve. China does not, like, why would it care for Ukraine to trade land, for Russia to grab new land? It just doesn't care, okay? It cares about Taiwan and it doesn't want peace in Taiwan. It clearly has stated many times that one country, one land, or whatever their policy is. Taiwan, they consider it part of China. They're not gonna give it up. You know, who would they trade land in Ukraine with for Taiwan? With the USA? Just to them, it's just this deal would not make any sense. You know. Holy be Jesus, hello from the German border to Switzerland at the Lake of Constance. Howdy, howdy, good Abend. Go and ski a little bit for myself. I'm pretty sure you have like world class skiing. Max, it may also be because Denmark has promised to come and help with the reconstruction of Ukraine, and many have also said that afterwards. There is a plan existing for the reconstruction of Ukraine. That's not a secret. Um, Jeffrey S. Alexander who? Jeffrey, I don't know. Some guy. Could care less. Lucas S. Thank you so much for more of your support. I appreciate it. Dave Strains. Remy Lion 5. Agree, Constantine. Thank you so much. Jose Gonzalez. Can removing sanctions from Russia stop the special operation from Putin? No. It will not stop. Uh, you see, like I said many times, Putin is in Sun Tzuang, and his speech a few days ago showed that very clearly because he didn't say anything in the speech. Basically, he cannot backtrack because back there's a huge army of right hand radicals supporting so called patriots. And if Putin says, oh, you know what, we're going back, they're gonna start asking him questions like, what the fudge? What have you just said? Because he has been convincing them for the past 12 months that what Russia is doing in Ukraine is the right thing. And now going back, why? And if he keeps on pushing or how somehow claims that, you know, Russian land is the new territories that Russia annexed and stops fighting with Ukrainians will keep on fighting to get their land back. You know what I mean? So that's not an option as well. So he's in Zugzwang. Val, hope one day we can have tea. I'm buying. Thank you so much. Cheers to you, this wonderful English breakfast. Hopefully one day. Elam, I trust you, Constantine. I believe you, all you say, you will know the truth. Well, at least I am sincere and honest. I may be mistaken from time to time. You know, I'm a human being, but you can definitely count on me being honest and sincere at all times. China is very easy to understand. If there's money, there's China too. Simple as that. That's okay too. All those TikTok girls must have fast internet. Silas Larson. Increasingly, products sold in America are from Mexico, Vietnam, and Bangladesh for clothing. Even Chinese brands are producing in Ethiopia as labor costs in China are no longer low. Well, that's a revelation to me, but you could be right. Yeah. Kevin Barnes, it's hard to disagree with you. Constantine time is up, says Nightbot. There you go, LT. What do you think of what is said in real life? Russia's catastrophic problem. LT. I've been saying that Russia has been involved in the catastrophe, as we say in Russian, the catastrophe started happening already with oil and gas. I mean, I don't need to watch anything to understand that. Russia, for the second month in a row, economically is in a huge trouble because for the second month in a row, there's a huge budget deficit. And that's because oil and gas problem, catastrophe. Okay, so I don't know. Time is up, time is up. Just one more question, a good one. See how we're living? How the constant, where does this leave China's Belt and Road policy? Down the drain. You see, Uzbekistan has been part of the Belt and Road policy. I'm learning about that. I don't know. I cannot answer at this point, but I'm learning, you know, more about it. I've met people who actually were worked for Chinese companies here in Uzbekistan, and I've met quite a few top officials from the energy sector that also met the Chinese. So I'm gathering information, you know. Paulo Ferreira, do you remember 100,000th anniversary of the Christianization of Rus? I remember 1988. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what he sees. His uh, KG1, check out explosions tonight at air base in Belarus. I briefly saw the information. Um, we'll see what happens. Could be staged. Could be staged. And Belarus will say, "Oh, you know, you bombing us, then we're gonna, you know, hit Ukraine and we'll join the war with Ukraine." So, um, we'll be seeing the development. But anyway, it's a very sad development in any case. Okay, thank you so much, my friends. I'm gonna be wrapping up. I'm inviting everyone to finish the stream with a prayer. If you're religious, please join me. If you're not, still join me. Send good vibes, good energy, good wishes to different people of Ukraine and the world. Thank you so much. Let's do it. Please join me. shall we? Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for putting food on our tables, putting roofs over our heads, and surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please help our children, keep them safe and healthy, and put clear, peaceful skies over their heads. Give us wisdom so we raise them by example, so they become better people than us and will make this world a better place. Will not engage in any wars with each other. Dear Lord, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. I am asking you, and we're asking you to reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people who can make such decision, so they wake up from their lethargic sleep and they will get terrified about what has happened. They will see the depth of the tragedy and they will make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help everyone who has been affected in Ukraine. Answer their prayers, make their wishes come true. Please send angels to everyone in Ukraine so they keep people out of harm's way. Help my country, please send the strongest army of your best angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael, so they come down and get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country and make it, angels run Russia, make it good, make it peaceful, and make it respected by and liked by the neighbors, please. Help everyone who is traveling right now, please send them safe travels. Help those who are seeking political and just simple asylum. Send help and good people their way. Please help those who are hungry, homeless, sick, jobless, and suffering with their faith, losing their faith. Please reach out and touch them, surround them with your warmth, and send them your love so they feel better and they will get back on their feet. God bless everyone knows. God bless those who are helping Ukrainians right now. Opening their wallets, their hearts, their homes, praying for them. God bless those people. Please help those in Ukraine who are stuck without electricity, heat, water. Surround them with your support and send them help, please. Show them your love. Please give us all peaceful skies, and these are the most important things in our lives, are peaceful skies and safety and health of our children. Please don't let us lose these things ever in our lives, because when we lose even one of those things, it becomes a terrible personal tragedy for everyone. So give us peaceful skies and our children healthy and safe. I am asking for pregnant women who are trying to make a decision whether to keep their babies or not right now. Reach out and talk to them so they make a right choice. I am thanking you for bringing us all to this community and allowing us to come together and pray together. Please help everyone who's praying along with me or just watching us pray. Make everyone's wish come true and prayers heard and answered. I would like to ask for a few people who need your help. Dear God, they are Wayne, Shirley, Debbie, John Allen, Finola, Lars Henrik, and Lars Henrik's mother, Amanda Rydnor, the Highwayman, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander family, Chorizin family, David Porter and his wife and daughter, and everybody in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Lars, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Buzz Simon, Lazarus, Alvin, Alvin's sister, Teresa D., Marsha Tucker, Garcia Castellanos, Terry Carter, Joe McMahon, Meta Spencer, Deanna and family, Bree's friend, Caroline, Karin Vasseur, Joel, Terry, Life, Albina Fell, Michael Yukon, Pamela J., Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Igor, Bonnie, Galina, Karen from Maine, Janine, Michael Milkovitz, Marlene, Paul Binns, Richard, Mallory M., Dirk Misler, James Rhodes, Terry, Hannah and her children, Richard Burris, Angelic at Life, Aunt, Scan family's grandson, Grace, Barb, Randolph, Nelly and Arkady, and Yuri in Mykolaiv, Ukraine, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, Ian James, Doug, Rafaela From, Anna, Priscilla, Michelin, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Donald, Deborah, Lisa's son, Jade, Allison, Dave Moyers, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hansen, Heidi, Bob, Tony, Kayleen, Rob, Umel, Jennifer, Matt, Ashley and family, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Amy, Treasure, Kyle's wife, Maggie Carmen's sister, Vladislav and his father Sergey, Susie Myler, Gina Wayfarer, MS paramedic Liz, Lori Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mother, and a few special children I would like to ask for. They are Cadence, Maverick, Sebastian, Coulter, Theo, Muddy, Ansley, and Karin Vasseur's 2-year-old niece. Please help them, send recovery, and send their families help, strength. Show everyone your miracle and surround them with your love, please. Also would like to ask for children of Ukraine who have been affected and children of Russia who have been affected. Also for the children of Ukraine who have been missing. Please help your support, help angels to every single child in need. Please help. Thank you, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Sanan, thank you so much for support. Thank you everyone for coming. You are absolutely awesome. You rock. Double awesome and double rock. Please come back tomorrow. There will be another message as usual, at usual time. And before I go, I would like to ask everyone to say out loud with me, Carthago delenda est.